Welcome to the Read Your Keys podcast. I am your host, Joe Lopez. If you're enjoying the content, please like, subscribe, smash, squish, rub, pulverize, whatever. Like, follow, subscribe button on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. We are doing the third edition of the Read Your Keys podcast, college football edition. We just finished week 1. This is week 2. Ricky Montielh, how are you doing, brother?
You know what, Joel? I'm back from Atlanta. I'm a little nicked, I'm a little bruised, but I'm ready to be here and talk to you.
A little nicked. Tell the people what the highlight of the Miami-Alabama game was for you personally.
For me personally, the highlight was before kickoff, obviously. The electricity and anticipation and energy at Mercedes-Benz Stadium was off the chain. I mean, Bama fans were going nuts. The Hurricane fans had some expectations, and then the game started.
Wait, what expectations?
We had expectations of at least competing, Joe. I mean, you know, Diaz, this is his, Brett Lashley, you know, our offense, you got Derek King healthy. But I'm gonna tell you when I knew it was over. Alabama marched down the field. It's immediately 7-0. It's okay, we're gonna get the ball on offense now. 3rd and 7, handoff. I said, oh, we lost. Handoff. I wanted everybody fired. There was no excuse for that call. Handoff on 3rd and 7. Our offensive line got humiliated. Derek King had no shot back there. That game was over fast.
So what was the highlight for you during the game?
During the game?
Yeah.
Highlight?
Yeah, you told me there was a highlight for you when we talked to our boy. During the game, he said you started a chant.
Oh, that chant. Fire Diaz. That's not a highlight, though.
I mean, it was like the most exciting part of the game for you. Really.
I want him to do good. I just don't have that expectation anymore.
Yeah.
Every year, Miami against a ranked team is unprepared, and we get massacred. I mean, not beat, but massacred.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. I was looking forward.
Close.
I was looking forward to the game, and I was like, man, I've watched because I think the Wisconsin Penn State game was before that, and that was a very good game.
I saw portions of that before I left.
Yeah, that was a very good game, and then to go into that Miami Alabama game, it's like this is the perfect like nap time games. Like there's nothing else on. I might go take a nap. And I didn't just because it's been so long since you've been able to have like a full Saturday of football that I didn't. And I was hoping to, see I was hoping to see like, hey, what are they going to do with our boy James Williams, who is, a super recruit. I'm like drooling all over, what you can do with this guy. And, I'm seeing him 14 yards off the ball. I'm like, this is a special kid. You want to put him around where he can make plays. I mean, you could put a 6-foot DB back there and get the same thing out of. You got a kid at 6'4", 6'5", 220, 230, runs like okay.
I can't counter anything you say about that game. Here's the other good thing about the game: they had some really good popcorn. There's like really good popcorn.
Kettle corn.
It was a cheese kettle corn. My brother-in-law got it because he says, "You want anything?" I went, "Nope." And he got it. He says, "You want to taste mine?" Sure. I said, "Oh, this is good."
Yeah.
And then I promptly told him, "You need to leave because you are jinxing my team right now. This doesn't happen. I'm undefeated when I go to Hurricane games. I'm winless when I go to Hurricane games."
Wait, when was the last time you went to a Hurricane game, though?
Well, you see, Joe, you ask questions I don't like to answer, but I'm going to tell you. It was the Rose Bowl game when we played for the national championship against Nebraska. That was, and the time before that, we played Marshall Faulk and the mighty San Diego State Aztecs in San Diego, where he didn't play.
Oh, Marshall Faulk didn't play that game?
No, that's why he didn't win the Heisman.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
what's that? That was like 1992.
that was like Toretta won the Heisman that year. Gino Toretta.
Yeah, that's like 1992 somewhere in there, right?
No, not 90. Was it 92? No, later 90s, I think.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Marshall Faulk was in the mid 90s because he went
to Indy first.
He did. And then he went to the Rams after that, right?
I think he only was at Indy for about 3 or 4 years. And we went to the Super Bowl 2001.
Yeah, because I mean the Super Bowl 2001, so he'd already been in the league for a few years. So that was probably early 90s when you saw Marshall Faulk.
I'm making your case for you, aren't I? Maybe like 94, maybe, I guess. Maybe 94, 95. Yeah.
But I mean, you knew what you were getting into going to go see Bama.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. We made Bryce Young. He may have won the Heisman already.
He did. He's like, man, this kid looks incredible.
That's like he's a sophomore. They didn't skip a beat. And the linemen compared to our linemen, I was looking at my brother and I said, look at the size of our D line compared to our O line. We're never gonna get to Bryce Young.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting when you watch the game in person? The size differentials and all the little things, they don't really show up on TV. But when you go in person, you're like, oh, these guys like physically look like they're gonna dominate our guys. Like they're not even the same class.
It's like watching an NFL team.
It was like watching IMG Academy against the fake high school.
Well, the fake high school is older and stronger now since Cam Newton's on the team now. So they might compete better than Miami did against.
I wanted an apology from ESPN to say we're sorry for bringing the Miami Hurricanes on. We vetted them. We thought there was going to be potential, draft picks on here. We're sorry. We're sorry for showing this game.
No. Manny Diaz needs to apologize to ESPN.
We've been bamboozled.
No, you weren't bamboozled. Well, here, tell you what. So this was Manny Diaz's line, right, throughout the week. We're not going to be judged our season on one game. All right, okay. That's fair, considering the one game you played could probably be an NFL playoff team.
Right.
Okay, it's fine. You should have competed, though. Now you play Appalachian State. You will be judged on that game, on how you respond to the absolute beating that took place against Alabama. You're going to be judged. It shouldn't be a close game. It shouldn't be a nail biter. You pretty much got to blow them out.
I think
at home.
I think if it doesn't look good against Appalachian State, I personally would say, hey, let's give the OC a chance to go ahead and take over.
Why? He choked. He choked in the game. He called the plays.
Well, part of it though is you don't know what the head coach is telling them to do.
He owns the offense. They brought him in to run the West Coast offense. He owns the offense. He's the play caller.
No, but sometimes the coach will be like, hey, like in the game plan, OC might want to do some things, and the head coach will be like, you know what? No, we're going to go in this direction.
No, I understand that, but they gave him the reins to the offense.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that's not always the case come game day with the calls. I don't know how active Manny Diaz is on the sidelines with.
He calls the defensive plays. He took complete control of the defense. That was his job this year. He ain't doing both.
Yeah. The thing too is they could have said 3rd and 6. Let's try to run at the clock. In the first quarter, we're trying to run it. We're trying to shorten this game down. We don't want an incomplete pass. If we can cut down another 30 seconds and punt it away, and then maybe get a 3 yards and get close, we'll see. We don't trust our offensive line to pass block because we're gonna get a guy who just came off of knee surgery, murdered. We don't want to have to go ahead and have that conversation with his parents that we were being irresponsible with their boy.
The Joe Lopez comedy hour right now. Go ahead, enjoy stomping on my loss, on my grave. Kick me when I'm down, because we can still go 10-1.
The ACC,
we can get that rematch with Bama.
The ACC did not look good this week. Going back, we got the Virginia Tech and North Carolina game.
Virginia Tech's an ACC team.
No, but North Carolina was supposed to be the big dog, and they did not look good.
They're not. You know what the coach said, Mac Brown? We were overrated.
Mm-hmm.
They're right. They were overrated.
I didn't watch them play very much, but I was, looking forward to seeing the quarterback and
how. Yep.
And I didn't think that there was like any kind of magic there. It's like, oh, this is a kid where I'm gonna keep watching, because I mean there's certain players where you're like, hey, this kid is must see TV. I felt that way when it was like, Tua was playing, and the Spencer Rattler kid. That's a kid where you're like, oh, I want to watch him play. He's a gunslinger, throws a pretty ball. Who else is a quarterback right now that I'm kind of Bryce Young looked fantastic. So it's like I'm gonna want to watch him.
You know who else looked good? Notre Dame's quarterback.
Who's the quarterback this year? I missed that game.
Oh, I forgot his name, but he threw for 340 yards. That was the best game of the weekend.
No, it wasn't.
Oh boy. We're gonna get to that in a minute.
We will get to that. But it wasn't.
But I got a take on that you're not gonna like. Okay.
I'm sure
it's more of a realistic,
it's par for the course,
non-myopic take.
I know.
But the great thing about that Notre Dame game. So do you remember in 2019 when the Central Florida quarterback
Kinsey Milton?
Yes. Remember when he went down?
Mm-hmm.
He's at Florida State.
Yes.
He came in the second half and helped with that comeback.
Oh, he wasn't starting.
No, he wasn't starting.
Starter?
I think his name is Davis. I can't remember.
Okay.
But the guy did okay. Notre Dame was having their way with Florida
They were
State.
up, right?
They were up 38-20. Florida State came back in the fourth quarter, and then tied it, went to overtime, and they had the ball first. And then they do what they do, miss field goals in overtime. And then Notre Dame had the ball. All they had to do was run it at that point to stay in field goal.
No way, he missed the field goal. Rest in peace, Bobby Bowden.
Rest in peace, Bobby Bowden. But Florida State, I got to give them credit. They balled out.
I like Mike Norvell. He was over at Memphis. He was the offensive coordinator at Arizona.
Right.
So he was the offensive coordinator at Arizona State when Todd Graham was there, and then he left to Memphis. And Memphis did really well for the few years. Memphis is also AAC team, American Conference team, which they're fun to watch.
Well, they're about to get decimated by losing Cincinnati and Central Florida.
Yeah, that was a separate talk. And I was like, man, I thought they were done. But he's, last year was year one, I think, for Norvell, and that's kind of a strange year to come into and try and. Was last year one or year two?
For Norvell?
Yeah.
I think it was year one.
Yeah. Two at the most.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't look good.
No, they weren't even competitive last year.
Yeah. But I think he's a good coach, and he needs a trigger man in his offense. It's just like pretty much any college team, but for sure with what he does, he needs that trigger man. And if it's the Milton kid, God bless him, man. I heard that was one of the Alex Smith type injury that he sustained.
They had to do media surgery on him because arteries, and they thought that he might not ever be able to walk again. And so 1,017 days later from the last time he played football, he's playing again. It was a great story.
Yeah.
That was really good to see him play.
Yeah.
I saw him run too.
He looked good?
Running, not like he did.
Before.
Yeah. But he wasn't afraid to tuck it under and run though.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those things. It's like, hey, I want to see, I love the competitive spirit, but hey, be careful out there, man.
Yeah, because you're not going pro.
Well, not only that, it's just
you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah,
don't get hurt.
But to play that way is
I love it.
Fantastic.
I love the competitive spirit too.
What are the games? The Penn State Wisconsin game was real fun to watch. It was defensive slugfest for the most part. And I think Wisconsin, I don't know how much of you watched, but it seemed like they were going to take control. They were going to take control, and they were in control. But headed into the red zone, turnover here, or like busted missed block here, and it was just like that was all that they needed us to stay in the game. But if
it was like a baseball score at halftime when I left.
Oh, was it?
It was low scoring when I left, and it was Wisconsin was in control, but they should have been up by more.
Right, exactly. It's exactly it. It was like, hey, they should be up by more. They're executing, they're moving the ball, they're doing all these things, but when it comes down to punching it in, they weren't getting all the way there.
I'll tell you something. Since we're on the Big Ten, Big Ten, or B1G, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, it's a Big Ten.
So Ohio State, Minnesota.
Yeah,
Minnesota, they played Ohio State tough for the first half. But remember, true freshman quarterback getting his feet wet.
He's a redshirt freshman. He's a
redshirt freshman, but it's his first time he's playing, right? Yeah. So his first time playing, the touchdowns they threw were like over 25, 30 type yard touchdowns that this kid threw. So once he got going, he was nailing some beautiful passes.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I saw it. Like he hit Olave on like 25-yard. He's probably like a deep post that kind of took him across the field, and he just just arced it in there. It was a pretty ball in there. He's an athletic kid, got his feet wet. Minnesota, I think, looked a lot better than we thought from the year before, and a lot of it too was just like, hey, teams didn't really look like themselves last year because of, hey, a kid tested positive and now he's out, or people who just were like, hey, you know what, we're opting out. I know Oregon had like their left tackle, he was a top 5 pick, Penn Sewell. He opted out. I mean, it's like, you can't tell me that having a top 5 tackle doesn't hurt. Like, yeah, some teams might be able to reload or not, but or also like guys who just like all their training, all the meetings and stuff, it's all messed up. So I would almost, I don't know if you want to throw it away, but like, hey, Minnesota definitely looked like what's the coach's name? The row the boat.
Or
no, is that the Minnesota coach? What's his name again?
I don't remember.
He's a high energy coach in Central Michigan. He was at Central Michigan.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Can't remember his name off.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, but they look like they're starting. They look like the upstart team, like it was at Michigan.
Well, remember the year before that, they were last game of the season. They were playing to see if they went into the. I think they played Wisconsin to see if they went into the Big Ten championship game.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, the year before they were a solid team. And then last year it's kind of like they came down to earth, and it could be for the COVID stuff because Big Ten wasn't even supposed to play.
Right.
If you remember, right?
Yeah, right.
And then there's probably some people opt out. They were going to go to the NFL in a truncated season. I'd have opted out too.
Yeah.
Not because of COVID, just because it's different. It's
all your rhythms messed up. You haven't been in your strength and conditioning program like you normally would. You're not going into the season with a proper training camp where you're kind of getting used to the hits and all that stuff. So
it was like Big Ten said, oh, by the way, I think we're going to play football.
Yeah, meet me in the park.
Everybody else is.
meet me at the park at 6.
Yeah, and so they had a bad year. Then now this year they come up and they battled Ohio State for a half. All right,
more like 3 quarters. For 3 quarters, I think, from going off of what I remember. The Ibrahim kid was a monster. Poor kid, man. He's out for the season, and he was a tough runner. He was fun to watch. It felt bad that he got hurt.
Yep.
So we'll see how they were one of the teams are like, wow, like they lost, but they looked, I mean, you look good in a loss. It's like, okay, that team I think is going to be dangerous. And I thought
dangerous. I don't know about that.
Well, dangerous is in the fact like, hey, this is not Mercer you're going to be playing. This is a team where you have to, you're going to have to. I mean, I think you think everybody's going to be like upper echelon. It's like, no, man. Sometimes you just have a team that's like, hey, you better prepare for these guys because if you're not, then they're going to punch you in the mouth. So like that's something. I thought the same thing with I mean, we had kind of made fun of Louisiana. They played Texas, but I watched them play, and they were a good looking football team. Like you think of Louisiana, you're like, oh, like this, this was before before they went to the college football playoffs and everything. This was what was it, like a Division I, but they were like IA or whatever.
No, they're D2.
I don't know if they were D2
or
quite.
They weren't FCS.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Division I AA maybe.
Yeah, something like that. You'd be like, oh, they don't got players over there like this. That's a paycheck game. And now they were a good looking football team. It looked like Texas was in control for the most part the whole game, but it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. And then I think Texas has kind of scored late to kind of inflate the score at the end. And I was happy that Sark got the win, but it was kind of nice to see just other teams that actually like looked good to watch. Like, oh, these are physical teams. They tackled well. They executed on offense to make the games fun to watch.
What's interesting, because people like yourself will see a one game snapshot of Louisiana, right? I think are they in the AAC with Louisiana Tech?
Let me check.
Because and they'll come up for one game and play a Texas team relatively tough, even though they lost by 20, but not, look respectable in the process. But then they're going to go back and play the schedule that they play. That's going to make them look good because they're playing relative competition that's relative to them, where Texas is going to go play Oklahoma. I mean, they're not going to, Louisiana isn't playing Texas's schedule. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they judge these teams by the one game that they're playing for their season against Texas. And Texas is like, this isn't our season.
Well, it'd be like, no, I don't think they're in there. See, Tulane, UCF, SMU, UConn, Tulsa, Cincinnati. What was this? Tulane, Houston, East Carolina, Memphis, South Florida, and Navy. So they're not in that conference.
Okay.
It's a fair point. I also think though it's like the Boise States, right? Like before they would get up for whatever Pac-12 game they were able to get on the schedule, and then
the Fiesta Bowl when they got in.
Well, that was really the turning point, right? That was like, hey, you're able to get in, but that came from years before of being able to schedule a Pac-12 game or like one big game to kind of give their schedule some credibility, where they got up to the point where it's like, okay, they've kind of put in the times that they're where they're a solid program where it's like, okay, they could get that Fiesta Bowl invite. That was years in the making. It wasn't just like they had that one good year. It was all the years before.
They were good. They were actually good.
Yeah. So I was pleasantly surprised with Louisiana, because I thought, we had the conversation of like, oh, this is just like they were going off of last year. No, but they didn't play anybody. It's like, oh no, this is actually a good looking football team. And Mike Locksley is actually the coach there. He was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, if I'm remembering right. So he's taking that mentality over there. What are the games that we have?
Georgia, South Georgia.
How can we forget
Clemson?
Did you watch that whole game?
I did.
Yeah.
Interesting. JT Daniels is not as advertised apparently, or he's going to be off to a slow start again. Clemson's defense is not that good, and they're missing a couple players. The only score was a pick six by Georgia. Georgia's defense is ferocious under Kirby Smart. So The offensive line did not do a good job of protecting your boy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say Clemson's vulnerable because the ACC, they own it, right? They'll bounce back. Georgia will run the table until they play Alabama. You already see that setup.
Yeah, they look good.
They
defense
look
is good.
good.
I mean, that's a championship defense.
But if they can't score, you're going to have a problem against the Mississippis in the SEC. You have a problem against A&M in the SEC. Well, they probably don't play A&M on the other side. On their other side, they should be okay. Florida might give them a battle. I think Florida beat them last year because Georgia couldn't score.
Well, that was the shoe game, wasn't it? Somebody threw a shoe.
I don't remember that.
I think that was somebody threw a shoe.
But you're ripe for an upset if you can't score, though. Your defense can't shut everybody out.
No, not the way football is played now. You're right.
Yeah.
But maybe 15 years ago, you can rely on a shutdown defense and to get just get enough points. I mean, that was what Alabama used to do. And now they know you got to be able to put up points and you got to be able to put them up in bunches. I think that they're like, from what I saw, it's like there's not a real commitment to running the ball. Like they want to throw their passes on the perimeter in the flat. They want to remember your boy Mike Martz, offensive coordinator. It's like, hey, like you can run the ball. That's a good play to carry the rock. But I think these offensive coordinators want to prove themselves to make the money, so they want to sling it all around. Where sometimes like, if you run the rock, in the first quarter it's not going to show up, but come the third quarter,
the play action is going to be golden.
Now it sets you up, and I think that's perfect. Segue into the UCLA LSU game, because UCLA, was running the rock all game long, and they were getting their pops, but come like the third or fourth quarter, those 3-4 yard carries became 8 and 9 yards, and now we wore down an SEC defense full of 4 and 5 stars.
Really, an SEC defense. Okay, so let's set the stage on this UCLA victory. First and foremost, congratulations. Okay. It's a good win for the program.
It is
to have LSU victory on you. And throughout the week, I'm looking at this matchup, right? And in my head, I'm like, I'm a little worried about this for the reasons I'm gonna tell you. And the line kept dropping. And I remember texting my nephew, who's like, oh, I love LSU. I was like, yeah, why is the line only 1.5 at game time, right? I'm texting him. And he's like, I don't know, I just love LSU. So here's the scenario. Hurricane Ida hits, right? LSU's displaced. They're worried about their family. They're worried about their friends. Football's not really on their mind. They got some more pressing things going on. Number two, they had sex scandals in the offseason that they covered up.
Oh, they did? I didn't hear about that.
Either last year or the year before, but it was extending.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost a lot of players, also bolted. And
how many players did they have leave?
I can't remember how many players they had to transfer out. There were some players. An Alabama fan was actually I said, what's up with LSU? Mm-hmm. And he started breaking this stuff down to me at the game. I said, that's right. Mm-hmm. Right. He said when Oregon won the championship, that he sold his soul. He went through a divorce. Uh-huh. He said they had the sex scandal that was covered up. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And then they had a lot of players that left, right? Also, they're playing with their second string quarterback. So now you got a team. So basically what you played was something equivalent to Afghan refugees who didn't have a home that were looking for something free. And so you took advantage of the situation. But you know what? At least you did. Okay. So congratulations. And here's the other thing. With that win, I looked at the remaining part of your schedule, which was weak to begin with. If you have any semblance of pride, you can open up the season 5-0 easily, and everybody can be jumping on the UCLA bandwagon. You come crashing down to earth with a loss to like Slippery Rock,
Well, we don't get those paycheck games
Oh, the whole Pac-12 is a paycheck game.
Like Miami.
A&M has a paycheck game against Colorado this week. Anytime you play a non-conference Pac-12 game, it's a paycheck game.
Well, the criticism with Orgeron, I'm an Orgeron fan. You know, when he was at SC, I hated him, but I understood that he was good for college football. You know, the whole, you know, he's a football guy through and through, the accent, all that. But that he's a good recruiter, very good recruiter, but not the best coach strategist.
X and O's, yeah.
Yeah.
Because outside of Burrows and Chase, what's he done?
Well, he brought him in. Well, that's
no,
big.
He didn't bring them in. They were already there.
No, they weren't.
He inherited that team.
What's his name? Burrow transferred in with Ohio State when.
That's right. Okay.
So you're wrong.
Okay.
But he brought in the Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator.
Back up. Didn't he transfer in the year before?
No, he was in the Heisman speech. He specifically called. Thank Ed Orgeron.
Okay.
So I like Ed Orgeron, but he needs the offensive coordinator, and which is kind of what we had talked about before. It's like you have these coaches, if they're defensive minded, they need to have a good offensive coordinator. And I think this is what separates Saban from everybody else, because Saban is a defensive guy, but he's been able to bring in, you know, Sarkisian, Kiffin, and now Bill. You know, he's been able to reload.
Got 3 NFL head coaches, ex-head coaches on his staff with Saban, O'Brien, and oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the third guy. We were talking about that at the game. 3 ex-NFL head coaches on that staff, including Saban, who was it?
Well, yeah, but the thing is like the coaches leave, and he brings someone in, and so that's
Rich Marone.
Okay, I wasn't familiar with him. He's a Buffalo coach. Is that where he was at? Something that sounds like.
I think so. Yeah.
Anyway, but he's been there for 10 years, and they've lost coaches. He's been able to replace him. Orgeron loses Joe Brady. And I mean, that's fantastic. And so it really hurt. And that was, you know, I think that's the key difference, where he doesn't have the deep bench of coaches to pull from. I mean, I don't know the new guys yet, but they say they're their first year coordinators. I mean, you would hope. Like if it was me, I was looking at it, like I would go get I think Tom Herman is with the Chicago Bears as like an analyst or something like that. It's like, you're telling me that you couldn't, you know, LSU's a proud SEC program, that you couldn't go throw some money at Tom Herman and have him come in as an offensive coordinator? And he's a good offensive coordinator. Or, you know,
LSU did put a point against you with their second unit, because everybody
20
points. String quarterback. What was the final score of the game?
20, 24, 28 to
28 to
30,
something.
38. But I mean, the last touchdown is already kind of like, hey, we're trying to run the clock out. But I mean, there's coaches out there to go pick up on a new, I mean, first time coordinators on both sides of the ball. That's tough.
Mm-hmm. LSU's gonna have some problems in conference.
Yeah. So I mean, I take that too, though. It's like, hey, this is not 2019 or 2018 LSU. This is a new team. The quarterback, though, I mean, you're saying he's second street. That kid was tough and he could ball. He was getting LSU's hit. Yeah. He was getting smacked. We were bringing pressures from all over the place. It was a thing of beauty to see all the types of pressures we were bringing. If UCLA had Max Williams or James Williams on there, he should transfer from Miami and come to UCLA. We'll find something cool for that kid to do. We're
gonna edit that out, because that's tampering that right now that you're doing.
This kid needs to leave and go to UCLA. He could watch the film and be like, man, I could do all kinds of things in that scheme. And
start on that school for 4 years easily at UCLA. Of course, we know.
I mean, it depends on. The staff is that smart where they create a special role for the kid. So that's a special talent. So yeah, I mean, but he doesn't even start on your team.
because our team is a top 25 team at the beginning of the year. You're a top 25 team because you beat a team when you weren't the top 25 that shouldn't have been ranked 16. So
listen, if you have a special talent, he should be on the field, but he's not. That tells you all you need to know about your coaching staff.
I know you're pressed for time, so I'm going to ask you another question. What do you think of Oklahoma?
What's that?
What do you think of Oklahoma?
Oklahoma is the Oklahoma that they always are, right?
They are, and they thought they were no defense.
The defense, right? Like that was exactly that's like the most Oklahoma thing. The quarterback is super confident in his arm. He was throwing balls into double coverage, and he got picked off from some of the things that I saw. But he throws a great ball. He's super confident. So like you're gonna live with him making those mistakes. But the kid is special, man. He just gets rid of that thing like. His release is just like it's an explosive release, man. He just gets rid of it quick. Look, you might think I'm crazy. He reminded me of like how Mahomes looked at Tex. He's just slinging it, man. Just slinging it.
Yeah, that's the Big 12 quarterback that slings like that. Is he so who looked better as a Heisman candidate, Bryce Young or Rattler?
Well, I mean, the Alabama program is a much more disciplined program than Oklahoma is,
but it's a stats game for the Heisman, though.
Oklahoma needs Rattler to put up Heisman caliber numbers, whereas
to win,
Alabama can let Bryce Young have some weeks off. But Rattler has to be on every single week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's that. I mean, throwing that out there, I don't know if you put Bryce Young in Oklahoma, if that looks the same. Because I mean, the kid looks like he could sling it. He's very athletic, super quick, all the tools. The only thing you would say is like, hey, maybe he's a little smaller than you'd like. Same thing with Rattler, though. He's not a big, overwhelming athlete, but the arm talent is unquestionable.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think Bryce Young, until you need him to do something, I would say Rattler will be the front runner. But the CJ Stroud kid, once he got going too, he looked good. He looked good as well.
He ain't gonna be no Heisman candidate.
No, I know. I'm just saying, as far as like quarterbacks, like, oh, this kid's fun to watch, because that's part of it for me. It's like I want to be entertained when I'm watching him play, especially if there's no I don't know. If it's just a regular game that, it's not the UCLA game or the game of the week, it's like, oh, I just want to watch him play because it's fun to watch him execute and watch him sling the rock around.
Who are the big games next week?
Big games we got. Let's pull up the schedule. Oh, let's go. Yeah, let's do the top 25 really quick.
It's an interesting game. Friday is Coastal Carolina versus Kansas.
I think I saw that one too. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. So going through, we had this conversation. I think Georgia should have been number 1 because they beat the number 5 team, but number 2 is fine.
Yeah,
they're still shaking it out.
Right where I figured they'd be.
Yeah. So Bama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Oklahoma 4, Texas A&M.
I don't know. I kind of liked it at 4.
I would have probably said Notre Dame because A&M played like Kent State last week.
Notre Dame played Louisville. Florida State. So Florida State's it's been nothing.
Florida State is a blue blood program.
Okay, but how are they this year?
Well, they look better. They look better than we thought than they did 2 years ago, right? Yeah, 2 years ago with Taggart, they're getting run out the building.
Well, Notre Dame has some Kent States coming up, so everybody's got one of those.
Yeah, I'm surprised Clemson didn't fall as far, but I mean, it's fair to them. We know they're a good team. Cincinnati, that seems pretty high to me, but it's like, who else are you going to put up there? Notre Dame, Iowa
and they play
State.
Notre Dame this year.
Who's that?
Cincinnati and Notre Dame. They play each other.
Oh, that should be a good game. We'll finally figure out
how good they are.
Yeah, because I don't think they've won like games against top 25 teams, but not the upper echelon ones.
I don't think we know how good Notre Dame is, to be honest. I mean, Florida State looked good against Notre Dame. They haven't looked good in 3 or 4 years.
Notre Dame's a good program. They're just not Oklahoma or Ohio State.
And when they make the playoffs because of their schedule, they get massacred.
Yeah, they're in that in between. They're not the
they're not
put
them
the
in a conference.
They're not
they're
not the bottom 25. They're like they're in the top 10, like in the 8-game playoff. Then they make that a lot more. That it's they're in there, but they're not
in a conference.
But they're not the top 3 dogs, man, because they don't reload like those other teams do. Iowa and Iowa State play this week, so this will get sorted out. I think they both had some squeakers, right? I think Iowa State like barely won. Let me see they have the score. Yeah,
against Northern Iowa.
Yeah, 16-10. Right. Yeah,
that's ugly. Right. Ugly. I mean, how are they? Iowa's gonna beat them.
Because Iowa actually they played somebody solid. I think they played a Big Ten.
They played Indiana.
Yeah. 34-6.
Yeah, I was gonna beat them. I like Iowa in that game.
Iowa State is tough, so we'll see if they were just looking ahead. Penn State, their defense looks really good. Oregon and Ohio State played this week. Oregon did not look good. I saw them play against Fresno State.
And children.
Fresno State is scrappy. I'll give them that.
I like
that. All right. I'll save my comments for when your game comes up. Florida, USC, Stanford.
Oh, Texas, man. They had the audacity to televise that game.
No, it's at 10:30 at night.
Eastern.
Yeah, so 8:30 or 7:30 at night. Yeah, so nobody's gonna watch that game.
So they don't give us no nighttime college football this time.
This is kind of a week off. Coastal Carolina, I'm not sure how they're so far up. Wisconsin. But we forgot about my Bruins right here. They went up. I've never seen this before. They went up 26 spots.
In the top 25 to land at 16. Let's go, Fresno.
Well, they don't play this week. They have an off week this week.
Oh, they play the 18th. Okay.
Yeah. So that's next. But look at that, 10:45. My gosh. Wisconsin, Virginia Tech. I'm looking forward to see how they look. Ole Miss. Finally, hopefully, Lane Kiffin, they can let him coach.
They look good. They put up some points against Louisville.
Yeah, but I saw they got a bunch of targeting penalties. I hate targeting penalties. Man, why they can't just give him a 15-yarder?
You know what? They should change the rule.
And then, like you said, be it.
And maybe if you want to kick him out on the second defense, not the first.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're right. I saw those
kids getting kicked out for that. These are hits that were completely normal.
Jack Tatum would have just been kicked out of the NFL
under
these rules.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think if you're gonna, make it, why is targeting any more than holding? I mean, or face mask, right? You see guys get face mask and they lose their head, and it's like, okay, you can do
horse collar,
yeah. So, I think they got to fix that. I don't. The coaches need to talk about that. Utah BYU, the Holy War.
That'd be an interesting matchup.
Utah, who did Utah play week 1? I think they were nothing. Weber State.
Yeah.
So BYU, I think, had a win. I think they played Arizona. I'm not sure actually if they won or not. Oh, they beat Arizona. Yeah, that's what I figured. So that should be a good game. And now we have Miami and Appalachian State. So
Appalachian State.
Appalachian State has a history of knocking off big time programs. East Carolina. East Carolina's one of those American Conference teams. So
yeah,
I would not.
You can't look at this team lightly.
I would not be shocked if they actually won the game.
No comment.
So this is really the question. Miami is supposed to win, right?
Mm-hmm. At home.
If they do not win, Manny Diaz gets fired.
He's not getting fired regardless. He's going to last the year.
The whole year.
Yep. College teams don't fire their coaches.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
How often does that happen?
I don't know how often, but they do it.
They don't.
Let's see. Where's the schedule? So L, and then you have Michigan State next.
Yep.
You could start the season 0-3 if you don't win this game.
Mm-hmm. Good. Coastal Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina.
I mean, this is not a tough schedule. You don't even play Clemson this year.
I see. Yeah, we're doing the ACC championship game.
You're not going to the ACC championship game.
Who is?
Not Miami.
Which one of those teams that you see is going to the ACC championship game?
Is Virginia Tech on the same side?
Yep.
As Clemson?
No, as us.
Yeah, so Virginia Tech. They were
based on one.
They were the best. They were the best. A lucky win
over North Carolina. Wow.
That wasn't a lucky win. They dominated that game.
You know what? And we play them at home. We're going to the ACC championship.
You're crazy, man. Yeah, you're crazy.
Okay.
I think you got to fire him.
It's not happening this year. I mean, you might be right depending on what happens, but it's not happening this year. Miami doesn't do that.
All right. You predicting a win, or you're not sure? You're just that iffy on it.
I think we'll beat Appalachian State. The question is, how do you look in beating them? That's what I'm concerned about. I want them blown out. Miami's got to get the swagger. You struggle, you just, after that loss to Alabama, you're just not going to have any confidence.
All right, so looking at it here, the big games, I'll kind of run down the schedule that I see here. Ohio State, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ohio State. Oregon didn't, from what I saw, they didn't look like they didn't
unless they're looking ahead.
That's the thing too, because that's true. These are 18 to 22-year-olds. Kayvon Thibodeau got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's a stud. Mm-hmm. And they need him for sure. I don't know how they match up everywhere else, but those receivers for Ohio State look good. I think they had a true freshman running back for Ohio State who looked good. The CJ Stroud, he's got a big game under his belt. That's a great way to start off.
Yeah, he's got some confidence.
The Oregon quarterback is athletic and he looks pretty strong too. But I think the Ohio State athletes, I mean, they're not only are they athletic, but they're coached up well. Ryan Day does a good job over there. So,
and Oregon is playing at 9 a.m. Pacific time game.
Yeah,
that matters.
I'm gonna go the Ricky Montielh going into the Miami Alabama game and hope that Oregon keeps it close. I think if Oregon can keep it close, that would make this game watchable. Like I think they could get run out of the building. Mm-hmm. Once if the CJ Stroud kid builds off or has a quick start. Every game is different, but if he has a good start, because I think they were they on the road? Yeah, they were on the road in Minnesota, and that crowd was jacked.
Mm-hmm.
So this is at home finally for him, Columbus. That I'm going to Ohio State, but I hope Oregon keeps it close. Florida
plays South Florida.
Texas A&M, Colorado. Colorado did not look good. They did not look good.
Hide the women, the children, and your grandchildren.
And all of them.
Yes.
Iowa State. Iowa State's a scrappy football team, but for them to keep it that close, that isn't that coach is, they're talking about him for newer, bigger jobs. Iowa's got Kirk
Northern Iowa plays Iowa and Iowa State very tough. They've upset them before.
Oh, have they? The only thing I know for Northern Iowa,
they've upset Iowa.
I think that's where Kurt Warner went, right?
Mm-hmm. One of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL.
That's the only player
that up.
Yeah, I was a fan of Kurt Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, Arkansas. We'll see how Arkansas does. I mean, that's
we already know how they're going to do.
SEC game. They got a new coach at least a year or two ago.
Arkansas. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going through the list of games because there's not very many. to choose from this week. Washington, Michigan. I mean, that would have been a solid game, but Washington
that is not a solid game now.
They took a dump against Montana.
You know, an interesting game. Pitt
What?
at Tennessee. Neither
Pitt
one's
at
ranked, but I think that's an interesting game on ESPN at 9 a.m.
Pitt in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Pitt. Yeah, Pitt's one of those kind of feisty. They might get up for a game or two.
Tulsa at Oklahoma State. That's an interesting matchup of non-ranked teams.
You have USC, Stanford. Stanford did not look good. SC did not. Same thing, man. I think Keaton Slovis can sling it. I like watching him play, but it's like if they were just to run the ball, I think they would be so much better. But they just want to throw the ball so much.
Terrible. Stanford lost to Kansas State, man.
Yeah.
You can't talk to me about
this. Is that. Not what was that coach is there? Price?
Yeah.
No. Oh, we're talking about Snyder.
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. That old man who got some JUCO guys to go and play for him for years. That was pretty cool.
What do you think about Cal at TCU?
Oh, that's a good game. The Cal defense, you know, what's the coach's name there? He was a former DC at Washington. He's building something there. I just don't know if they get the guys, but that sounds like a good game. I like TCU also. What time is that one at?
That is at 12:30 on ESPNU.
Wow. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be able to watch that. That one, and then the
North Carolina State at Mississippi State.
BYU, Utah. I think I'll actually be rooting for BYU, but I need Utah to win because the Pac-12 could get ugly. So
we got some good unranked matchups. Like I said, North Carolina State and Mississippi State. That ought to be interesting.
North Carolina.
Mississippi.
I guess I watched Mike Leach's offense.
Yeah,
that might be not bad.
Mizzou at Kentucky. If you're an SEC fan.
Yeah, I think the pickings are like, if you're a big time college football fan, you'll find some in here, like Air Force Navy. Like I'll probably watch that for a little bit. I like the triple option is a thing of beauty to me. So it's like seeing an old friend. It's like, hey, old friend. Like anytime someone lines up in I formation, it's like, oh, nice and comforting. Twins. Oh yeah, it's like seeing an old friend. But Ricky, final thoughts on Miami, Appalachian State. I mean, you probably haven't had a chance to watch Appalachian State play at all, so you can't really give.
Well, they won their game they played relatively handily. So we'll see. I don't know how good they are. They're competitive. They stepped up to D1 and they've been competitive since they've been in. Miami probably thought when they scheduled them, maybe we got an easy one between
I don't think so.
Bama and Michigan State. I mean, because wow.
Yeah.
Appalachian State could win that game. I agree with you. Miami's got to really step up. Diaz got to have his guys prepared. If you don't think Alabama was a make or break for your season, fine. But you lose to Appalachian State, that's a make or break.
Well, the thing with the Alabama not being a make or break was that you would be competitive in the game. That was the thing. It was like there was never a doubt. There was never a doubt about who the better team was, who the better coach, better athlete, better trained, just top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one guy, and I keep on going, is the James Williams kid. It's like, man, like I wish, you know, I wish he was at somewhere where you can see this kid shine. Because, you know, the safety's there. To be fair, like I like Bubba Bolden. He's a physical kid. I like watching physical, downward thumping safety. Like even him, so going back to UCLA, like what they've done is they've taken like DB type guys and they're a little big and they put them at inside linebacker. These guys can run and they're all over the place, super fast guys, but they're also going downward and blitzing. But you see none of that at Miami. It's like you got those guys there.
Keep in mind, those guys. When's the last time UCLA went to a bowl game?
I'm not talking about bowl games. I'm talking about schemes. And Miami did Miami.
Well, the schemes got to work, right?
Well,
So
no, you got to
when's the
marry.
last time they
You
went
got
to a
to
bowl
you got to
game?
marry. You got to marry the talent with the scheme, right?
Okay, so UCLA hasn't had the talent then.
Well, they were puppies, and now they're growing up.
Okay. I'm gonna have
Whereas,
so much fun for you in college football this year with UCLA. You actually brought up UCLA to compare to somebody as something good. That's just
yeah,
okay.
you're happy with James Williams being 12 yards off the ball and then
He's a
going
puppy.
deeper and then
I'm gonna
going.
use your line. He's a puppy. He's a freshman.
He's an athletic freak. What
He's
you
a
do with
puppy.
athletic? What do you do? So when DJ Williams was a freshman, the top recruit at Miami, he was a puppy.
He
wasn't
was. He was
ready.
just a he was just a really good puppy.
He was a very big puppy, and they didn't put him. They didn't throw him in at linebacker. They put him in at fullback. That's exactly my point. Because I don't know if that was Larry Coker or if that was Butch. I think that might have been Butch Davis's last year. Because Butch Davis is a very good coach. He knew I have a special talent here. I need to find a way to get him on the field. You guys, this staff gets James Williams and puts him 12 yards off the ball, and he does nothing.
I'm not.
I would have
beat Appalachian State.
I would have. If you tell me you have Bubba Bolden and a guy like James Williams, you put them both on the field and you say, okay, I'm going to send this guy, like, because you guys got no pressure anyway. You might as well send them.
Keep in mind this. Miami's not Miami. Bama's receivers are lightning fast too. So
I get it. But
90,
at least
a 94-yard touchdown pass. Remember that one?
But guess what? Yeah, they got it anyway. So you might as well, if you're gonna get beat, at least send a guy and maybe like try and like distract the quarterback or something instead of having all the time in the world and then just pitch and catch.
Bryce also had escapability in that game too.
Yeah.
So
I get all that, but it comes down to basically, hey, if I'm gonna get beat, I might as well get beat throwing a punch. And you guys didn't swing. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair.
So I'm hoping to see James Williams do some things because special talent. I'm jocking. Anyway, Ricky, always fun, my man. I'm glad you enjoyed your trip to Atlanta.
The trip I enjoyed, yes.
Yeah, the trip, exactly. I didn't say the game, I said the trip. I'm glad you're back. This is the Read Your Keys podcast. I hope you enjoy this, everybody. Have fun this Saturday, and we'll do it again next week, brother.
All right.
Take care.
Later.